Padre Pio of Pietrelcina was a Capuchin priest who became famous throughout the world after receiving the stigmata. The stigmata, as I'm sure many of you know, is the bodily marks corresponding to the wounds suffered by the crucified Jesus. As we can see, Pio had the holes in his hands just like Jesus had when he was crucified on the cross. Now, one of the first photographers of Padre Pio's stigmata in their early stages was a man called Modesto Vinelli. So he took the photographs, printed them out, and he sold them to try and make Padre Pio more well known. Also, he was able to make a bit of an income for himself on the side by doing this. Now, I'm telling you all of this for a reason, because this all relates to the 50-year prophecy of Padre Pio's. So one day, Modesto Vinelli arrives in a town in southeastern Italy, and he begins distributing his photographs of Padre Pio. And he meets a man who wanted to know nothing about Padre Pio. He disliked Padre Pio, and he said that the photographer was a fraud. This started turning into a heated discussion and ended up resulting in a fight where the photographer, Modesto, was put in jail for 40 days. When Modesto came out of jail, he went to go and see Padre Pio. He said, "Father, I was sent to prison because of you." Padre Pio asked, "Because of me?" And Modesto told Padre Pio what had happened and how he got angry defending him and was sent to jail. So Pio advised Modesto that he should be patient with those who do not think along the same lines as he does, and especially not to get into fights with others. And then Pio said something very interesting. He said, "Modesto, remember, we still have 50 years ahead of us." But what did Padre Pio mean by this? Modesto personally thought he meant that he only had 50 years left to live. And as time went on, every year on September the 20th, Modesto Vinelli went to the monastery for the anniversary of Padre Pio's stigmata, and he would visit Padre Pio, who would remind him how many years was left. "Modesto, we have 49 years ahead of us, 48, 47, 40, 25 years left, 15 years left." And as the years got fewer and fewer, naturally Modesto would get more nervous. He thought his time on earth was slowly coming to an end. And then the 50th year comes around, and Modesto is understandably very nervous. He's in a cold sweat. It's September the 20th, 1968, and he's with Padre Pio. Pio says, "Modesto, 50 years have now passed." And Modesto, overcome with fear, falls to the ground, and when he comes out of Padre Pio's room, he is trembling like a leaf, they said. But Modesto, he's still alive, he isn't dead, and he's now a bit confused. What was Padre Pio talking about? What did he mean when he said, "We're 50 years left"? But 3 days later, he gets his answer. On the night of September the 22nd to the 23rd, his longtime friend, Padre Pio, dies. It appears that Modesto had misunderstood what Pio was saying. He was not talking about Modesto's death. Modesto would go on to live another 15 years, but Pio was talking about his own death, and that in 50 years' time, he would die and their meetings would come to an end.